Win more League Pro Guides.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be looking at some League of Legends flash tricks. So if you're not used to hearing my voice, I think I've explained this in more than one video, but because I don't know the order these videos will be released in, I'll explain one more time very quickly. So we've heard your feedback and you guys don't like reading videos or, reading text that we've been doing in general, so instead we're just gonna try commentary. If you like this style, let me know in the comments below. If you still don't like this style, also let us know. We're looking for feedback to hopefully give you guys the best videos possible, but I don't want to make this explanation too long, so with that on the side, let's actually get straight into the video. So like I mentioned, today we'll be looking at flash tricks within League of Legends. Now there's no promises that you don't know any of them or you know all of them. I have no idea what sort of skill level you guys are at, but with that being said, we're hoping to bring you some information, and even if you do know the tricks, the base idea of this video is to actually break down these tricks. Why do they work, how do they work, and how can we implement them in some tricks that we may have not seen before. With that being said, I think the first thing for you guys to understand is the mechanics, because it is what will allow the tricks to actually work. Flash does not interrupt, cancel, or delay any sort of animations. Flash only moves your character and nothing else. Now I know this is kind of obvious, but I wanted to put that information out there because it's going to be the base mechanic that we'll relate back to and why the other tricks actually work. Hopefully these tricks do help you guys out, but if you do already know them, I still hope you guys enjoy the video. And starting us off with the real tricks, we're going to be talking about Flash and how it can actually animation cancel, which is super useful. You can use your abilities and immediately flash after. This should be done very close together and almost instantly. This will only work if the abilities you cast don't have a set range. Example, point and clicks have a set range before being allowed to cast, while skill shots do not. If you cast a skill shot ability outside its set range, your ability will cast without your champion moving. However, like most of us know, if it is a point and click, however, others will move towards the range before casting. Like if you throw an Annie Q, Annie will hippity hop all the way to the end before she casts her Q. However, if you cast her W, no matter how far it is or how close, she'll just throw it out there. So this trick will essentially only work within a skill shot, like we showed the example before, within the first mechanic. If the champion will cast regardless of the range and not move. If the champion moves, this trick won't work. So this technique really allows you to jump in and surprise your enemies, because you'll be able to cast and flash to cancel the animation. The animation still technically plays, but it plays within the flash animation, so the flash animation actually eats up some of the base animation. This makes it a lot harder for your opponent to dodge, and this is simply because, let's say we take Ahri. We see her hand come out, she flashes, and then boop, the heart's already flying through the air. This means that the opponent didn't actually get to see the heart leave her hand, making it a lot harder to predict and in turn dodge. On the flip side, we'll double dip here because the next trick will allow you to flash, but it's in junction with targeted abilities. These abilities are the opposite of the skill shots, which is a point and click. This means your champion has to move in range for this one to work. Instead of flashing when using your abilities, you actually use your abilities then flash to get in range. Of course, some people already do this, but some do it wrong. This means some people will flash and then, I'm going to use Annie as an example again because it's the best thing that comes to mind. If you flash and then spam your Q to hopefully throw out your fire, it will work and it's smart, but it won't be as fast as using this trick. For this trick to work, you actually press Q while you're outside of range, and then Annie will begin to hippity hop all the way to the character. But instead of allowing her to walk all the way there, you'll flash all the way there. The thing is, like it or not, doing this will be faster than your own base reactions. Basically, we're just taking advantage of input buffering. We'll press Q, and that will input buffer Annie to throw her fire out. However, we will then flash the distance range. The code will tell the champion that they're in range now, and it will immediately put in the next action in Q, which would have been her fire because we input buffered it. Now this really works because of the first mechanic that we mentioned. Flash does not interrupt abilities. This is why when we said earlier that it'll only move your champion but not interrupt abilities, it works so well. This is because when you input buffer and then flash, the input buffer stays. You don't have to re-press Q, you just have to press it once, get into range and it will cast. This will always surprise your opponents because everyone knows there is a certain range for a point and click ability, meaning the opponents will attempt to stay outside that range. However, when you quickly flash within the range and send out the ability, there's nothing much more they can do because the ability will already be traveling. This makes counterplay very hard against this trick, which is what makes it so powerful. Next, we have the trick of changing the direction of an ability using flash. This one is probably the most known. I would say it's the second most known on this list. It's so well known because we can visually see it done. When we watch the pro scene and we see a fancy Lee Sin flash kick, we saw that he flashed and kicked. This means unlike the other abilities, which are more hidden, this one is out for the open. When we see a Vayne flash and condemn, or actually condemn then flash, it's visually obvious to us. This is why it's more known. However, with that being said, it doesn't mean we can't break it down just a little here. Essentially, things like Vayne's E will not trigger the knockback effect until the bolt lands on the target. So by using flash, you can change the direction before it hits. This is similar to Lee Sin's kick and Gragas's body slam. Abilities like Gragas's body slam, which is a skill shot based ability, will allow you to abuse the animation cancelling we just talked about earlier. This will allow you to reposition yourself very last second to hit a body slam. This will really catch your opponents off guard. This does not work on abilities like Ahri's charm, however. This is because the minute you cast the charm, the set position of the charm is already calculated. Meaning if you fire the charm straight and then flash, you'll flash out of position, but the charm will remain moving straight. However, for abilities that it does work on, it is great for focusing someone specific. I mean, I personally think they're most effective actually in team fights. If you were someone like Gragas and you want to body slam their squishy, that's the main purpose. You want to body slam their squishy so your team can follow up and jump on that squishy. Within that team fight, a lot of people are already expecting you to jump on the ADC, so if you go to body slam the ADC, they will most likely dodge, or the teammates, if they're good teammates, will peel for the ADC. However, if you go to body slam their tank, the tank will probably think you're an idiot, not move, the rest of the team thinks everything's fine, but then last second flash onto the side away from the tank and hit the squishy. It is very effective. It's a lot more effective and it works really well. I think the only tip I could give you is tell your teammates that's what the plan is so they're ready to jump in with you. The second version of this trick applies to a set range such as Lee Sin's kick or Vayne's condemn. This uses input buffering by queuing your ability on the target first, just like the tricks we mentioned earlier. This trick really works because of the reliance on the animation. Let me explain that a little. So, as we mentioned earlier, the effect cannot trigger until, for example, Lee's foot hits the target or Vayne's arrow touches the opponent. The biggest thing is that the code will always check your positioning on the landing, meaning, let's say you set out Vayne's condemn, the code doesn't care where you are yet. Once Vayne's arrow hits the target, it now cares where you are and will calculate what position that it should fire the opponent at. This means if you send out your condemn and right before the arrow hits the target, flash in a different direction, it will then calculate based off your new position and send the target that way. These are very obvious examples, and I know this trick is super famous and we have seen awesome outplays by it before. But we have to think outside the box as it can be used for a lot of other abilities. If done correctly, you can even chain the effects. If you were to dash one way and redirect it using a flash the last second, you can actually extend the effect within two different directions. Take Shen's taunt for example. When dashing forward, you want your enemies to be lined up, but let's say they're not. If you were to taunt one and then flash in a redirection towards the other, you will actually chain your effect regardless of them being not lined up. Now it definitely takes some practice, but the use case of this trick is my personal favorite as it's very smart and redirections can completely change the fight if done correctly. I mean, imagine two people tower diving you and then you taunt one, flash towards the other, and then all of a sudden they both die to tower. I mean, it's pretty damn satisfying. Now this trick is most popular because you want to predict your opponent's flash. Meaning, let's say Shen wanted to dash forward, but he knew his opponent was about to flash, he would also flash forward right when they flash and still land his taunt. The biggest thing to practice is that flash has a range of 425 units, which is a lot smaller than we usually think. This means that practicing and understanding its range is really key to making everything work. Now the last trick we have on our list is probably the most known. This is why I said the other trick was probably the most second known. This one is about flashing over larger walls. This can actually be tricky if done wrong. you'll just flash into the wall and look absolutely horrible. The thing is that the game will always calculate the total distance and either force you to one side or the other depending on the closest wall of your theoretical position. The biggest thing is to get as close to the wall as possible, meaning your character should really be glued to it. Then move your cursor a little past the halfway point right outside Flash's maximum range. This is so that, in theory, if your champion were to flash exactly where you clicked, you'd be inside the wall, closer to the exiting side, not the side you're trying to flash from. And then it'll put you on the other side and you'll look like a badass, not a noob. This works with more than just flash like Fiddlesticks' ult and other things. However, that just about wraps up our video. Now, I hope you did learn something new, even though some of these were obvious and maybe a little bit, leaning towards the newer players. Regardless, I think I'll stop talking now. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, seriously. And if you did, hit that like button. If you something you didn't like, please let me know in the comments below. I won't get hurt. Want to talk about my voice, my commentary, the video content, anything, I'll listen in the comments below. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for future content, and I'll see you guys next time.
Pro Guides is the best and easiest way to learn how to master League of Legends quickly and effectively. Backed by the biggest names in League of Legends, whatever concept you're struggling with, we have a guide for it. After watching a guide, if you have any questions, you can use Genius, where a Master or Challenger Pro Guides player will immediately answer any question you have. Get to your dream rank today by signing up for Pro Guides. It's time to be part of our winning program.
Plus this.